Okay, we are here in the basement of Toyota Center. Rockets just wrapped up practice, and I'm joined with Chronicles' Jonathan Fagan. Jonathan, you've been the beat writer for this team for 20 seasons. Have you ever seen anything like you saw last night in the third quarter?
No. No, I tried to think of something. Well, you know what might somewhat compare? Obviously, nobody scored 50 points, and I've never seen anybody score 50 points in a playoff game, though it has happened in my lifetime before. But in some ways, maybe the comeback against the Clippers, where you just kind of look and go, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is really happening. And there was some of that feeling last night, I think, where it's not surprising if the Rockets score a bunch of points, but 50 and a quarter and Harden's 22, no, nothing stands out to match that.
And I think you kind of asked, was it Ryan about that at practice? And they just said they agreed with that about the Clippers thing, and that was the closest they could think.
No, I didn't ask that exactly. I asked Trevor and James if the experience of having been there is helpful now that they're the team up 3-1, and you can keep your focus because it just happened a couple of years ago in a series you were in,
right.
To which Trevor said, Chris was in it too, which was a pretty great line. And then I asked James, and James said, Chris has mentioned it.
Oh,
and I double-checked with him and said, Chris brought it up, and he said, yeah, he brought it up. So he was on the losing end of that one and has no intention of
doing
being
that again.
Yeah,
being with the winning guys. So they flipped that switch in the third quarter. Do you think that that's something that they've been off since the playoffs started? I mean, it's been obvious to everyone. They flipped that switch. Do you feel like this is going to continue now? They're going to close out this series in the next game?
I think they'll close it out. In fact, again, it reminds me of that series in that, which is strange. I haven't thought about that series much, and now this is the third time in just a short period of time. But it reminds me of that, where when the Rockets got back here for Game 7 in that series, you knew a good punch might knock out the Clippers, that they were ready to go down for the count. And I think that might be the case with the Timberwolves here. They'll be good. They'll play hard. But if the Rockets hit them, it doesn't have to be a 50-point quarter, but with a real good stretch, I think the sort of the momentum of the arena and the way this series has gone, the Rockets should be in good shape tomorrow night.
And James Harden's performance in the third quarter kind of overshadowed everyone else, but a lot of guys got back clicking in that second half, which could be important moving forward.
Very important. Yeah. I thought Eric Gordon getting on a little bit of a roll was especially important because he has struggled with his shot, and with Eric, it's coming.
Yeah.
And, it's such a good shot. So he gets a few to go down. Trevor Ariza began the game, which, how important is that? Because
otherwise it would have been down way more.
Right. There was a 7-point deficit at one point. It could have easily been into the 12, 13, 14 range, where, again, the emotions of the game start changing a little bit. So the key for both of those guys to get going as they did. And every game further into the playoffs Ryan Anderson gets, he did hit his 4 threes in Game 3, but, he's still coming back.
Yeah.
And so every game further from the injury he gets, the stronger he ought to be.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good sign, even today at practice. And the whole time through, they've been really even keel. Like, we've been throughout these practices, even when we're all freaking out, like, what's going on? Why are they out of rhythm? They've really been even keel, and I think that's so important moving forward, that if this situation does come again where they, their shots aren't falling in a series, that they have confidence they're going to come. They've just got to keep playing their game.
Yeah, that's a big part of who they are. And you win 65 games, that's part of the prize, that you have a whole
lot
of confidence.
Yeah.
There's some fortitude. And, James Harden, not so much of this team, as Harden goes, they go. He goes 0 for 7 to start the game. It takes him 18 minutes to get his first field goal of the game.
Yeah.
That's the night he goes for 22 and a quarter. It's because that's who he has become over the years.
And he has that same with his teammates. It doesn't matter how many shots they've missed. He's still going to pass them the ball when they have that open shot. And I think that trickles down a lot as well to the team.
No question. That's a big part of it, that he definitely, they believe in him to such a high degree, but he does with them as well.
Yep. Anybody, we've got a few people on here. Anybody have any questions before we wrap this up? Tomorrow night, is it at 8:30 start?
Yes.
8:30 start?
Unfortunately, yes.
I know, we got the late game, so 8:30 start here at Toyota Center for Game 5. The Rockets seem to have kind of turned a corner here, got it done in Minnesota, and now hopefully they can finish this thing off here in front of an excited Rockets fan base here at Toyota Center. Anybody have any questions before we log off? Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks, Jonathan.